thankfully we made it to Amsterdam nice and safe, and we got there very early. It was cold, freezing. I think Wes was complaining about it, but whatever. And ready to start our day in Amsterdam.
How are you doing? Hello. Hi, how are you guys doing? Come upstairs.
So the main school that we worked with in Amsterdam was Leeuwhemen Kung Fu School, which was run by Sifu Henny Eleonora. Henny's got a lot of experience in martial arts. He trained kickboxing and karate as a young guy, and then he eventually started to go to China and study intensively with a lot of the great masters of Chinese Kung Fu.
Philip spoke highly of him in that his martial skill was pretty high, especially his qigong and his just his power. And his knowledge of Kung Fu and even knowledge of life was beyond many people I know, very wise.
Even though there's a big age difference between the two of us, I think there was this mutual appreciation for authenticity of martial arts. We did have some very good talks and very enlightening discussions regarding martial theories and concepts from ancient times.
Let's face the fact, the world is changing. I mean, we are younger, and we are living in a different world with computer and internet and YouTube, call it all. In the early days, you can go to internet and see an old form. So you're appreciating it. When the teacher teach you, you suffer, then you're appreciating it. I do traditional. If one day no people want to do traditional no more, I will not change my class for modified. I will close the class.
He didn't like the new way of martial arts, he liked the old way, and he just wanted to preserve that tradition in his school, in this very new age city of Amsterdam.
He embodies his region, Netherlands, Amsterdam, and then he is himself, and he's a Chinese guy too somehow. He's like a Dutch Chinese guy who walks around in Chinese clothes all day, but then he really has a sense of pride from who he is and what he represents, which is interesting because some people try to completely disregard either who they should represent or who they are. Regardless of race, you can look and admire a culture and you can start to act or appeal to that culture, but it's about not losing your own cultural identity that's important.
Ladies and gentlemen!
Sifu Henny seems at first to be brash and kind of forward and very strong.
And the first time just walking down the hallway, he led us to his school and he was like, that toilet is up. And I was like wow, it's such a duality. He was so ghetto and so rough, but that's so traditional in his way.
When I lived in China, there's a lot of prejudice there, and people don't believe that just because you're white, you can actually have skills and talent. I remember something that really frustrated me in my training, that you put your best foot forward, you try so hard to prove yourself, and maybe you gain the respect of a teacher or friends, but then the next day you walk to somewhere else and it's like, well, it's okay because you're just a stupid foreigner or a white person or something like that. Seeing how Henny had to deal with that, he really had to foster his skills and explain himself and develop himself in a high level manner so that not only does he rise above this image of what a Kung Fu teacher should be, but rise above this image that a foreign practitioner is a lesser man.
And then I started listening to him talk and the things that he was talking about.
They were a great lesson about body mechanics, chi flow, manipulation of energy. Humans we don't think about those things anymore. We only think about the surface problems, external things, training muscles, putting things on the skin to make yourself look younger, more beautiful. But inside is still chaotic, inside is still messy. The brain is messy, the heart is tired. That's like saying you want to fix the soil, but you only put something on the surface. You don't actually give it water and let the water go into the ground. You have to go deeper and fix it from the inside.
He was one of the, I gotta say, one of the most interesting characters I've ever met.
Alright, so the Sifu says we're gonna go outside to drum up some people for the show tonight. So we're gonna go to one of the famous markets and we're gonna bust our stuff.
Welcome some friends of us from America. They're going to do some performance tonight.
It was pretty successful. I think everyone definitely enjoyed it. Ireland seemed to love it, and the people were really enthusiastic, so it was a pretty good show. Pretty happy with it. So we gotta leave. Like DY and I are gonna leave you guys tonight because we gotta be in Rotterdam for the next seminar by 9:30 in the morning. So we gotta take the first train out 7:30 a.m.
He's sleeping still, so we should.
Okay. It is like 1 in the afternoon now. We wake around. I usually sleep just it's because you're lazy.
When Philip and DY left, it was interesting because, you know, I found myself filling that team captain role. Like it was me, Tommy, Mark, and Wes, and the team made decisions, but I was the one who just kind of substituted as the authority figure.
We have to do things now. We have to go back to working. And I think that's one of the things that we're all not really too happy about.
I think it might be easier to go back to work if we weren't acquiring debt while we're here.
We're talking about Mark and his want problems down at Boner Kebab.
To cover the money I already borrowed, it's going to turn it into a situation where it's like, wow, I wasted so much money and time doing this. Even though I'm right now, I'm having a lot of fun and I love to be here and I'm loving everything we're doing.
And I was trying to impart upon him the best knowledge I saw fit for the situation. But you've already set that up. It's like you made that a rule. You're going to suffer when you get back. The pain's right now, it's a little thing, but you're going to sit in that suffering.
I'm not saying I'm going to suffer when I get back. I'm just saying if I can't figure out how to handle what I took on when I get back, then I'll be suffering.
That's again where me and Wesley are very much alike, because I still find myself falling into the same thing where someone's telling me about their problem and I think that gives me permission to solve it, but all they really want is someone to listen. And that's one of the things I enjoy about Wesley too. He does listen. You know, despite all the energy that he is, he does listen.
The bit of suffering we're going to, it's a good indicator that something big's gonna be coming out of it. Because when you do put into work into something, it doesn't matter what it is, you get what you put in. Like it's just a rule of the universe.
We're getting ice cream on the house. Thank you so much.
The very characteristics that Wesley has that made this show so interesting and made this journey more so interesting, I used to have a problem with in the beginning of our relationship. So it's just really interesting to think about.
So right now we're in Borscht Square. The Occupy Wall Street movement, or the Occupy Everything movement, is also here in Amsterdam. I wanted to kind of see what it's about and check out their side of things, you know, the European perspective on the Occupy movement, since it's happening here now.
We went to the Occupy district, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Occupy movement, but they're in San Diego, Los Angeles, and they're basically the movement that occupies a certain area and has no leader in their group and wants change from the 1%.
This is it. These are the freedom fighters of, you know, the Netherlands, Amsterdam. These are the ones adding their voice to a movement for change.
Illuminati. West side.
So it's a pretty
West side. Revolution.
rounded thing right here. Everyone's worried about the people on top of the world, also known as the Illuminati.
I wasn't very much inspired by what I saw. There was basically a homeless man. No one was paying any attention to him, and not only that, his little area which he was occupying, you know, his umbrella fell over. The person a part of the Occupy movement was trying to shoo him away, and not only that, but, you know, trying to throw his umbrella away. And the only person that actually stood up to help this homeless man was actually Tommy Lang, who's a part of our team. And in that moment, I realized that it's not necessarily where you come from, what you look like, it's what's inside your heart that really makes you different kung fu heroes. And they're a little closer to achieving a big change in the world because their whole thing is about not changing people who are outside of them, but to accept and understand people outside of them. It's about changing yourself so that everything in life has a place in your heart and that nothing exists outside of your heart.